Good morning, friends. I was meeting with some ladies last night at our church, and we were having prayer for our upcoming HOPE events, which stands for Handling Our Painful Experiences. And we're going to start those in May of 2023. And the first one is Hope After the Death of a Child. And that's a very serious subject, and I know that affects way too many people. And we want to be able to give hope through these events, and they will each have a different topic. The second one will be Hope Through Chronic Illness. We will have people on the panel for all of these events that will share their personal stories, and we will have also people there that can speak to what happens in the brain when we go through trauma. We will have a biblical perspective. We will also have a pastoral counseling side. And someone brought me some statistics this weekend. They went to a conference, and the statistics that she gave me were 1 in 5 adults have mental health issues. Now, there's two different schools of thought on mental health issues. Those are the one. There's some that are diagnosable, and they are a lot of times chemically based. They do need medicine. They do need proper diagnosis, and they need serious attention. But then there's the other kind that the pastoral counselor side was developed to take care of or help, and that is the side where we've just been through trauma. We've been through something and we did not know how to cope with it well, and we might have made it worse. But the pastoral counseling side is a way that you can see first if this is something that can be dealt with talk therapy. My cats are having a wonderful time back there, and they're having their own talk therapy. But it's a wonderful way that you can do that. So you can call us at beautifullybrokencounseling.com to get the intake form, or call us at 615-332-4389. And some of the other statistics were 50% of the mental health challenges start at age 14. We kind of had a collaboration last night, and we thought this unfortunately may be a little bit high. We think that we've had a trend of children that are much younger, and a lot of what we find is not that the children are necessarily chemically imbalanced. What we find is they're living in a chaotic home. And when you live in a chaotic home and you don't know where your safety is, that's very difficult for a child to act in a way that are social norms. When you also have a society that's telling a child they don't know, if you don't know if you're a boy or a girl, then you can just decide to be fluid. And there's no absolutes. That's a lot of what's going on. There's confusion. And, God is not the author of confusion. So if you're seeing all this confusion, God is not doing that. He is allowing it for a time so that we will pay attention. And these statistics were given at a Christian Women's Conference, the WMU, which is the Women's Missionary Union of the Southern Baptist. And they are beginning to understand that we need to take better care of our people, and we need to address some seriously hard questions about life. And there's another statistic that says 11 years is the average delay for someone to get help. Wow. I mean, that there are different variables to that, but you know with pastoral counseling you don't have to get into crisis before you can get help, because it's much better if we can come in and have a couple of sessions and learn some really great tools and techniques to get you on your way. One thing that we do is we teach you how to use God's Word in a way that you can stand on it, so that when you leave, you have all the tools you're ever going to need. So if someone calls and says, "Hey, I want to get back in," usually it's because they have another situation and they just want to talk through it. They've already done the tools and everything. They just want someone else to listen. So it's not usually another crisis. In maybe certain situations where there's been a tragic event, that of course would qualify. But most of the time, people leave with the tools that they need. And another one she said was Gen Z from 1997 to 2012. She said half of Gen Z are depressed. Well, are we surprised at that one? Actually, I think that might be low. And there is this sweep across the younger generations right now to, it's almost a trend to almost identify with their mental illness. It's we shouldn't identify with it. We should name it. We should call it out. We should say, it will not define me, and I will do what I need to do to get help. But it doesn't have to be your identity. You don't have to be someone that when you walk in a room, everyone looks up and goes, "Oh, there's bipolar," or there's depression. We don't want to hide from it. We want to be honest. We want to talk about it. We want to get help, but we don't want it to define us. And the younger generation, unfortunately, it is a trend to take that on as their identity. Even if you have it, it's not your identity. If I were to get cancer, my identity is not cancer. It's the same thing if I were to get diabetes. My identity is not diabetes. It's something that I deal with. It's the same thing. We have to put it in the right boxes, the right perspective. But the church, unfortunately, has been negligent in how we handle the hard questions. And the way we've done that is we have just kind of glossed over when the Bible talks about hard situations. So I'm going to share one with you today. So in the Bible, sometimes you think about, okay, it's not fair. In the Bible, there was Uriah. Uriah was a good man, a good soldier. He had one wife. He was faithful to King David. But King David took his wife as his own, and he impregnated her while Uriah was in battle serving the king. So King David decided, well, you know what? I am going to get Uriah to come, and I'm going to get Uriah to be with his wife. And once that happens, then she can say it's her baby, and we're all good. Well, he was so honorable that when he came home, he would not go into his wife. He slept on the front porch because he said, my soldiers are sleeping in the field. How can I go into my wife and into my own bed? So he didn't do it. So King David said, oh my goodness, I'll get him drunk. So he invites him over. And now let me just tell you, Bathsheba was not complicit in this. She was the king, and she was summoned. I don't even know if she knew what was going to happen. She might have thought that they had news about her husband. I have no idea. And I was not there, so I am thinking that probably Bathsheba was caught up in this. But anyway, so Uriah, David got Uriah drunk. He went home. He did the same thing. He would not go in with his wife. So David decided that he's going to do something different. Now, this is the king that God says is a man after his own heart. We need to hear that. But he was about to plot a multiple murder, not just one, but a multiple murder on a good man. That is not fair. Life is not fair. When you have lost your child in this world and you've done everything you can, and your child is still gone, and you can't have them back, and a Christian says to you, well, they're in heaven, they're better off. No, don't say that. Understand that that parent is dying inside. That's why we created these hope events for people who are hurting, who have no safe place. We want to be able to stand there and give the answers. We want you to hear from other parents who have walked through it. But just getting back to the story, Uriah took the sealed death document from King David. He was so honorable, he didn't even peek. How many of you have peeked before into a letter? You have. I know you have. I have too, because if you want to know what's going on. He did not even peek. And in that letter, it said, put Uriah on the front lines, and when he is dead, let me know. This is from the king. King David, who stood in front of Goliath and said, I will take down that giant. This is how far he had fallen. My cats are having a time. I think they think each one's a giant. Listen, Uriah, he handed that to his superior. His superior did as the king said. He put Uriah and a multitude of other people, soldiers, on the front line. And when the things came over the wall, he was killed along with others. And then word was sent back to David. And then, of course, David did the heroic thing, and I do that in quotes. And he brought Bathsheba into his home to be one of his wives. Now, the hard question is, David lived. David got Uriah's wife. Uriah, the good man, died. David continued to be king, but because the judgment of God fell on David, he lost 4 children. I have no idea what it's like in God's economy, and when he makes promises with people and they break their side, he can't break their side. He had made a covenant, a promise with David that his throne would go on. God does know all things, but God does allow things, and we are in a fallen situation. What we have to do as Christians, we have to stop hiding from the hard questions and face it and square our feet and say, I have no idea, God, what you're up to, but I know that you have every clue of what you need for this puzzle. And one day I will know. And one day I'll understand. But right now, this is awful. And I don't like it. I don't want to go through it. It's not fair. It's not right. We need to be able to tell God that. Don't walk away forever. Don't walk away at all. Stand and fight, even with God. Wrestle with Him. Let Him know how bad you're hurting. And then live to tell another day and get up and keep praising Him. C.S. Lewis, in his book, The Screwtape Letters, this demon is teaching his underlings how they should, be effective. And basically he says, and I can't quote it, but he says the most powerful and damaging Christian is the one where God has thrown everything at them and they get back up to praise Him, much like Job. This world is unfair. It was unfair that when God sent His only Son to us, we were so selfish we couldn't see, and we put Him on a cross. And I say we, because I don't know what I would have been back then. I don't know what type of person I would have been. I don't know if I would have been one at the foot of the cross, or one that was just doing nothing, didn't care, or one that was even calling for His death. None of us know that. And we can blame Adam and Eve all we want, but the truth is we've all been in some form of a garden where we had to make a decision and we made the wrong one. I just want to encourage you. If you need help and you're hurting, you can look us up at beautifulybrokencounseling.com, or you can call me at 615-332-4389. I can do phone counseling anywhere in America. So if you do that intake form and you put Dr. Kathy phone session, I'm going to call you and we'll talk. I don't want you to hurt and just say that God is not real and God does not love you. He is. And He does. But for this time, there's a lot of things that are unfair. It was unfair that He was taking our sin on the cross, and that He had His Father look away from him for a time and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I just pray that through these hope events and through people getting their hearts right and understanding that this event does not define you, this event that you're going through, it can be the critical moment where you can have your greatest platform to do great things in this world. We have all hurt. When we lost our foster son, I went to bed and I thought I would not get back up. I didn't lose him in death. I can't imagine what death would have been like. So we all know some sort of pain, but we can do this together. So I'm giving you hope and encouragement, and I'm saying thank you for listening. I hope you have a blessed day. And get ready, because May 2023, we start the Hope events. Thank you.